the beaver never sleeps.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to Random Rhapsody's Æther-Shanties. I am Matthew R. Dawson, your friendly neighborhood host and game master for the SAGAS campaign, and joining me around my virtual table tonight are Alyssa, Joe, KOINES, Nico, and Nobody. Say hi, everyone.
Hello!
Howdy.
Right on. Now, before we begin, we do have some announcements to get through, starting with a word from our sponsor for this campaign, SAGAS. SAGAS stands for Setting and Genre Agnostic System, and it was created by OKest RPGs. SAGAS is a rules-light, universally TTRPG that was designed to help you easily tell your stories in any world imaginable. Choose from over 100 unique features to build your character, or use guidelines for quickly making your own unique abilities. SAGAS also promotes helping allies over helping yourself, and encourages teamwork to succeed in challenges. In any setting, SAGAS has provided a smooth integration of rules to create a unique framework to help you create your adventures. Your character features basically change the size of the rolls you make, and your allies can help you by giving you more dice to roll, which improves your chances of getting the lowest possible number, which is what you're always aiming for in this system. There is a free 35-page SAGAS playtest, which is available now on DriveThruRPG, and the Kickstarter for SAGAS has been fully funded. You can find the link in the chat and show descriptions. Now, last but not least, our next campaign that we're going to be running is Sonnet of Blood, our Curse of Strahd campaign. The team is still in Varos and has just killed a bunch of vampires and then put them in coffins and cleaned up the scene. Should be interesting to see what happens next. Now, you can keep up to date on our schedule and everything we're doing by following us on Facebook as Random Rhapsody TV, on Twitter as @random_Rhapsody, on Blue Sky as Random Rhapsody, and on TikTok as Random Rhapsody_TV. And that's going to do it for the announcements. So join us as we return to the world of Loroupa and join a new group of heroes and their Æther-Shanties. And we're back. Now, in this campaign, you should know by now that we offer up the Random Rhapsody coin to whoever wants to do the recap. Whoever gets that coin gets a reroll, which is a very useful thing here in this game. Now, if I do the recap, I get the coin, and I get to use it in all sorts of crazy ways, and no one really wants me to have that. Which is fair, but you never know. Maybe one day I'll get it. But who wants to do it this week?
Guess it's my turn. We're back around to the start of things.
Okay, well, then, Lark, tell us what happened last time on Æther-Shanties.
It was freaking scary. Okay, there were these monsters, and then we fought them, and kind of like the ones that we fought outside the ship, but like it was a bigger, and then it attacked Skarn, and then Skarn had like these brain worms or something, I don't know. And so we went looking through the ship to see if there were any other monsters, but also to see, I think, if we could find any like first aid to help get the whatever was in Skarn out. And I think some people were working on that, probably the doc, and I hope the doc was able to get those out. But me and Zolos and Boomy kept looking around, and then we found like this, or at least I did. I found this room, and it had like a chair and a bunch of glowing things, and it had a crown on it, and it didn't look like.
Testing
I
one,
mean,
two, three.
it was a really shiny crown, and like it's a crown, right? And then I put it on, and then nothing. And then when I wake up, we're in the stars. What? I didn't know we could be in the stars. Like, we're in the sky. I don't know what to do, guys.
That's definitely true. Okay, here you go. There's the random Rhapsody coin. Don't forget to use it. It's only going to last a session. And, you know, that is a good point. What are you all going to do? You are all currently standing inside the strange cabin on the topmost level of this impossible flying boat that you've all discovered in the woods near Monnos. Through the large window that makes up one of the exterior walls of the cabin, you can see nothing but stars. Tiny pinpricks of light on a vast canvas of black. Now, you've all, at some point in your life, looked up into the sky and seen the sky and the stars on the cloudless night. But this is vastly different than that sight. Because when you're on Loroupa, you're looking up through the atmosphere. But now there's nothing between you and that void but a thin sheet of glass. And the void itself is the darkest black. There's literally nothing there in between these pinpricks of light. And none of you can help but doing one of those shudders at some point when you look out and see that, because it is very disconcerting. Now, it's difficult to tell just where exactly the ship is going. When the crown was removed from Lark's head, the energy propulsion had ceased. But the way the ship is vibrating underneath your feet, it definitely still feels like the thing itself is in motion. Now, Skarn, when you and Dr. Bloom came up to find your companions, you saw the planet Loroupa with its humongous tree growing out from the center behind you, behind the ship, and getting steadily smaller with each passing moment. So you know at least that you are going away from your planet. But apart from that, the ship just seems to be moving in a straight line away from it. Inside the cavern, if you ignored the light vibrations underneath your feet, there's really no way to tell the fact that you're moving at all, or which direction you're going if you were to just look out the window. So, there's that to deal with as well. Now, inside the cabin, there is a strange array of contraptions and devices, some looking more nautical than others. At the front of the cabin, right next to the window, is the ship's wheel, though when you had tried to move it earlier, it wouldn't seem to budge. To the left of the wheel is a boxy device about 5 feet tall, with a gray glass bulbous protrusion that almost looks like a bubble. And there's also an assortment of buttons and switches underneath it on an angled front. Including in among these round buttons is a much larger round one that is illuminated with a flashing red inner glow. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, behind the wheel, in the center of the room, is a large throne-like chair connected to another strange contraption behind it. This device is about as tall as the throne, and above that, there are these gold rings surrounding a floating blue crystal that is rotating slightly in the middle of these rings. To the right of the throne is a bulky device with a large glass orb in the center and a polyhedral crystal spindle to one side and a series of buttons beneath it. To the left of the throne is a cabinet of glasses and a large collection of what smells like alcohol on the top of it. So at least you know that whoever designed this ship had its priorities right. Towards the back of the cabin, there are 3 more devices, each as strange and unique as the rest. The first holds a glass tube filled with a light blue swirling mist. The middle one reaches from the top to the bottom of the room and has a disc of purple glass set into the dark steel of the device, and it's positioned above 3 smaller rounded rectangles of gray glass, much like that one next to the ship's wheel. The device also has a lot of odd lever-like buttons with strange symbols on them. The last device contains a series of brass tubes extending out from it that seems to be a communication device throughout the rest of the ship. In fact, you used that previously. Now, it's easy for you all to take all this in as you're standing there looking about. With Dreezy, you're still holding that kind of roll of parchment that shows like the blueprints of the ship. But as you're all kind of looking about, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on in your minds right now. So, with that being said, what do you all want to do now that you're at least out of immediate danger?
Well, where's the water? We're on a ship, right? Where's the water? He's just looking around everybody. Where are we? How are we moving? Where's the water?
Water. Where's the trees? Where's the ground? Where's the sky?
All right. We're on a ship,
I can
though.
actually answer a few of those questions. That's unusual for me, but I know the answers, and the answer is behind us and getting further away. We really need to turn around.
You gotta do that, Granny.
Anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, so if you guys could figure that out. I mean, I am more than a pretty face, but this is not one of those things.
Did I? Okay, so
If you're about to ask, did you do this? Yes, you did.
What exactly happened here? I mean, I was in surgery, and now we're...
Well, we found short round with that crown on. When we took it off, we stopped moving.
Okay.
So that's the only correlation we've got.
Okay. That's a step for sure.
Oh, and none of us can read anything in here.
Well, I hate that.
I mean, I was scared, and it was a pre-crown, and put it on, and I was scared, and I just wanted to get away from all the monsters and the bad things, but now I just want to go home. So what if I just put the crown on and want to go home? Well, it should bring us home, right? Right?
Yeah. I was gonna say think to go back to the monsters and the scary things, but knowing what your brain can do, we could go anywhere. So yeah, say click your heels, take me home. No place like oh god, no. Wait, where are we?
Loroupa.
No place like Monnos.
Pura.
No place like Monnos.
Monnos.
Okay.
Oh my god, are we really?
Okay.
I'm not gonna interfere. He's just gonna let you put it on. I can already see Matt.
I'm just gonna think about home really, really bad, and the ground, and how I want to be back on the ground, and
Think gently on the ground.
gently
Wait,
on the ground.
Oh no.
Grab hold of something.
We can't hear you, Matt.
You all grab a hold of something just in anticipation as Lark places the crown down upon her head. I need you, Lark, to make for me basically a mental control check.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think you have anything that really affects your mind or mental control or anything like that. So this is going to be a D12 roll.
Oof.
Okay.
You are aiming
Oh
for a 3.
Oof.
Come on, crit 1. Give me a crit 1. I know it. Come on.
Okay. That. Number dice. Do I want to use the token right now? The coin? Do I have to declare it before I roll, Matt, or can
No,
I?
you don't. You can use it.
Okay, let's just see what happens. Oh, I'm scared.
As long as you don't die, I think we'll be in.
How many hit points do you have left?
I think she's only got 1. It's not a fail, like a super fail, like a crit fail.
Should I use the coin?
No, I think we'll. I don't know, it's up to you, but because it's not like he's gonna be like, oh hey, yeah, you guys went right back home, campaign over. You know. So it's like, hey, great job.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 in 4 odds. It's not great, but if you want.
I do have pilot, Matt. Does that help anything?
It does not.
Dang it.
Not for this.
Not yet. Hopefully. Someday. Alright.
So is that your final answer?
I mean, okay, the coin has to be a group choice here. The coin is for all of us. Coin is not just for me, so.
I'm okay with you not using it now, because who knows what we're going to run into in the next 2.5 hours.
This also could be really important.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
somewhere we don't want to go if it's not successful.
Oh shit! I didn't think about that.
Or how bad the descent might be if we failed the roll. Again, how many hit points do we have? What's everyone's health
I think
looking like?
everybody has
Not
like
enough.
1.
Nope.
Not enough. Not enough. Cool.
Okay, so this was a lot of y'all just like what ifing. Am I using the coin? Yes or no?
I'd say yes. Go for it.
We got 1 yes and 1 no. Nico, nobody. Chime in.
Shit. I'm trying to predict.
I don't have a strong opinion here, but if Skarn were to weigh in, they'd say yes, so yes.
Okay. Nico?
Yeah, Ezra would also say yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go by character rules.
Okay. Using the random Rhapsody coin to re-roll. Go for it.
Yeah.
Is that the fastest that's ever happened?
Probably.
Yes.
On the first roll?
Let's see. Possibly.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times where it's been used within the first half an hour to 45 minutes. I'd have to look to see.
But on the first roll?
No, that would probably be a record.
I think that would be the record.
Oh, it's closer.
Yeah,
Sir.
Okay.
It was certainly closer.
It's less than half, so you know, like...
It's less
Hopefully-
fail-y.
Yeah,
So-
hopefully it's not as bad.
Okay, well, so here's what happens. Lark places the crown down upon her head, and the crystal in the center of the tiara begins to glow the moment the metal touches her forehead. The crystal on the behind the throne, floating in the rings, also begins to glow as well. And you all watch as Lark's eyes just kind of roll up into her head, and she just freezes in place. The moment that happens, you hear this hum of energy, a sort of whoosh. What the heck? Which is going to sound kind of something like this. And you just all feel this jerk as the ship lurches forward at a extremely fast pace. I need everybody who isn't Lark to roll an athletics check to hold on to whatever it was you were bracing yourself with. Because there isn't a whole lot of friction in space. Everyone's, if you have something that can roll, give you advantage or give you a better dice, feel free to call it out. Otherwise, everyone's rolling a d10. You were expecting this, so that's good. We're going to make it an even 5. Can't hear you.
I believe.
Got it.
I have wings, and if I was expecting it, do you think it would be possible for me to, since I'm anticipating it, to essentially, like, not, to let go as soon as the crown goes and just sort of hover? I'm trying to think if that would work.
I don't know the physics of that one, so I'm just going to say, sure, you can try it.
Let's try it.
Zolos has the wrestler feat, so he's good at grappling and gripping. Would he be able
into the back wall, right?
Could Zolos use his wrestling abilities to kind of hug the wheel a little bit and kind of intertwine his arms around it?
I'll allow that to be a D8 for this roll. For Ezra, you're also going to be making it an 8. You're using a D8 for this as well. You're kind of aiming for that 5. And nobody, you said something about like the wall coming up to meet.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're just suspended in space while something behind you is moving forward, it's just going to hit you and push you forward.
You are completely right. And I feel like the dice is telling a story here. So, Ezra, what did you roll?
Sorry.
An 8.
Mm-hmm.
I failed it. I earned that one.
Yeah, you really did. Zolos, what did you get?
I got a 4.
Okay. Skarn, what did you get?
Those grip abilities came.
Was not a pass. That was a 7 for me.
It was a 7. And Dreezy, what did you get?
You got a 5, John.
I got a 5.
Perfect. Okay, so Zolos does the wrestler hug onto the wheel, holding onto it for dear life. Dreezy, you were over there by the liquor cabinet, I think. So you're probably holding on
Tracks.
to that as the ship jumps forward. Dr. Bloom just immediately jumps up and begins flapping their wings. However, as nobody pointed out, what would happen is just the back of the ship would come shooting forward and smack right into you, and so you have the wind knocked out of you as
Definitely.
that big ass circle of glass connects with your spine. At which point, nobody or Skarn loses grip and goes flying backwards. Boom! Lands right against you.
All right.
Oh, it's a flat bird.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Bad
no
cat.
way you can't help but just cough out what's left of the air in your lungs. As the ship just goes blasting forward. Now, once that initial jerk wears away, like Dr. Bloom, Skarn, the two of you do slide down and land in kind of a pile on the ground there against the wall, but at least you're not like flattened against it. There's not that much force here. Once that initial jerk of the engines go off, you're able to Dreezy, you're able to plant your feet once again and stand with steady. Zolos, the same thing. You can plant your feet and be steady here as well. But Lark is just frozen in place. Hasn't moved a muscle.
Didn't. Sorry, Doc.
I feel like this button is appropriate for the moment.
I'm a leaf on the wind.
I'm a leaf on the wind. Yeah.
Except he's more like they're a rock in a tumbler, maybe.
Well,
I guess he untangles himself from the wheel, and he sees they're in a pile back there. He's like, they'll handle themselves. But he's just gonna kind of slowly walk up to Lark and just kind of like get down on their level, right in their eyes, and I guess their eyes are they like wide open and like white, or are they
wide open? The eyes are just like rolled up into the skull. Yeah, exactly like that. Exactly how Alyssa looks right now.
He's like, what is? And he's just kind of like tap on her forehead. They're like, short round, you in there? Hello?
Ow, that hurts. I can't hold that.
Please don't. Please don't. That looks painful.
Ow.
Yeah, he's just gonna kind of like gently shake Lark and be like, we're not home, so it didn't work. I'm afraid we're gonna break you. I gotta take it off. And he's just saying this aloud, hoping that there's some kind of acknowledgement from them. If they're just gonna stare blank-eyed, creeping him out, he's just gonna kind of like cover their eyes with one hand and like lift the crown off with the other.
Okay. It's not gonna take a check for you to get the crown off of her head this time. I imagine she was doing it with just the tips of her fingers, and so like she's not grasping onto the thing or anything. You slide it off and pop it off her head, and the moment it does come off, the light from the crystal fades, the engines begin to power down.
And just kind of like, was she able to keep her feet, or is she like stumble? Is this the kind of thing like it would like fall back into the chair?
I'm
or
gonna say that once the crown is off her head, she will tumble backwards and just kind of land on the chair. It takes a moment, Lark, for your eyesight to clear. Like it's just bright white. For from your perspective, you place the crown down on your head, everything went white, and then the next thing you see is Zolos taking the crown off of you, and you're stumbling backwards down into the chair, just absolutely exhausted. Do you have any effort?
Yes.
No,
I
you do not.
I was gonna say, I was like, the way he asked that, nope, you don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, he'd kind of like check her, steady her, and she'd be like, "You okay? Still with us? Everything all right?" And I clear the hair out of her face, all gentle. He's like, "You okay?"
Did we do the work? Did we
No, no. I mean, I didn't look outside yet, but I'm gonna go with no, because I don't smell the ocean. So, do you know where we are? Did that thing tell you when you had it on? Were you conscious of where we were moving?
I don't know how this shit works, Matt.
It's exactly like I said. From your perspective, you placed the crown down. You saw all white, and then the next thing you see, it's like for half a second, and then the crown comes off. You see Zolos there, and then you stumble backward, just exhausted. That was entirely your perspective.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
I was just thinking of home, like we said, and then.
All right. I think until we know what we're doing, let's not put this on again. We'll just set that aside. How tall is the chair?
So the back of the thing is about 6 feet in height.
Okay.
So when she's sitting in it, it's like a kid.
It's way above. Yeah. So he's gonna take it and he's gonna put it up as high as he can. Not that he's doing that for any special reason, but he's just like, let's just put this up here, and he's gonna put it on top of the chair, maybe so she and Boomy can't reach it. But he's like, you're okay though.
I feel like it was just a second, but I feel all rubbery. I need a nap.
Well, I suppose we can get one of those. Just sit here, chill out. I'm gonna talk to Feathers and see if we can figure something out. They seem to be the smartest one here. But at this, I mean, I know we searched around. We know there's a lot of alien language on the levers and stuff like that we don't read. Mm-hmm. But are there any books in here? Like, maybe we can try and flip through and see if we do recognize a language. Maybe how it's when you buy anything in America now, the instruction manual is first in English, and then it is in 7 different dialects of East Asian languages. And then there's Spanish. He's going to look for that. And he's going to see if he can find one and just see if there's some letters that he recognizes.
Or maybe it's when you get a Lego set and there's the instruction manual and it's all pictures of what you're supposed to do.
A lot of times it's in French now, too, I've noticed, is one of the big languages. It's like, oh, that's cool. I mean, but yeah, it's always pictograms. So he's looking for
I get
letters
what you're
he knows.
saying. I will remind you that you all thoroughly searched this area. The only thing you found that was out of the ordinary was with that crit success that Dreezy's able to turn a failure to a success. He was able to find blueprints, a 4-page blueprint of the ship that showed all the different areas and had little lines and has letters and explanations of what it is, all in that same alien
script.
Language. Yeah.
Can I attempt to start translating it? Find something that I know, the wheel, see if it see the word for wheel.
So you can start working on trying to translate it. I'm just going to point out it takes time. This is something that you're going to be dedicating hours, days, possibly even months or more trying to do. So you can do that right this second if you want to start it, or if you want to if you want to put that off until you have
Like night,
you're
yeah.
going to be spending a lot of downtime, that would be a point to do that. But if you want to start it right now, you can just sit down and start working on it.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll start just while everybody's walking around here. I can probably find like a book or something like a clipboard, right? Like a flat thing to carry around this paper on, and I'm gonna try to make my own diagram that's a copy of it, but fill in obviously in words we can read.
Okay.
So I copy the diagram and then just put like my descriptions of everything.
Okay. So I get the idea. I'll in this area probably you're not going to find that. You know exactly where it is though. There's that workshop on the second level that has like paper and probably had a clipboard and that sort of thing, pens, ink, all that stuff.
I think Zolos would help him at least to the point where he would label things that he knows, like the galley. He knows the mess hall. Those things, parts of the ship that he would recognize and what their, I guess, common or Loroupan common would be, and he would help write all that, like identify those so Dreezy can be like, all right, so he knows what the parts of the ship are. At least that Zolos will recognize.
Oh yeah,
with this ship.
Yeah, you can do that for the main part of the ship. I'm trying to look in all these mysterious machines and technology and stuff. And figure out is it the flux capacitor? Is it is this show when the oxygen's low or the water's low or who knows, right?
Well, I mean, you do have quite a few bits of machinery here just in the cabin itself that you've only kind of taken cursory glances at so far.
Can you describe this thing over here?
Yeah, again? Absolutely. So what that box is, it's about 4 feet tall in total. It looks like a metal square cylinder that rises upwards and then kind of goes at an angle. It's made entirely out of it looks like steel and brass, kind of intermingled between the two. On the center of the thing, there's this kind of protrusion. It looks like gray glass, and it's kind of shaped in like a bubble out in the center of the machine. Now below that, there's a bunch of really much smaller little circles of the same material, but in quite a few different colors. They're all perfectly round, and they kind of like they look like buttons. Like you don't have buttons like this on Loroupa, but you have buttons. There is technology there, and so there is similar things. So you can look at that and just intuitively discern that's probably what these are. There's about 24 in total here below that larger glass bulb. I'll call it. They all have little different colors behind them, but one of them in particular is much larger than the other. And as I described previously, I'll mention that there is a reddish glow behind it, illuminating this part.
Okay, I push it.
Oh shit.
I wasn't done describing.
The basis of scientific discovery.
Okay. As you go to push the button,
you can describe more of it if you want.
But... No, that's totally fine. As you go to push the button, you notice that there's like tubes coming out from behind it that kind of go outward and go down its back, and it actually goes down into the deck itself, leading probably downward towards the midship.
Fire control
There's
system.
a couple dials as well on it, and several switches. Now,
I love dials and switches.
You see this one that's glowing, that's actually illuminated. None of the other buttons are illuminated. You reach out and press it with just immediately, the moment you see it. And the most curious thing happens. The mast in the center of the ship, you can see it through the window, seems to extend upward more. Large sails kind of billow outward from the either side of the mast, and a second mast begins to rise up from the front of the main deck, extending more sails. These sails continue to billow outward, and as it does so, the entire ship lurches forward once again. Whoosh! You all kind of stumble forward a little bit. The jerk isn't the same as the one when Lark put on the crown. It's much softer. But then you see the sails begin to fill and billow outward and start becoming conical in shape. Billowing it almost looks like a gigantic balloon that's open on towards the back. But it seems to be filling. And like you all kind of stop and stare watching this because you're in space. While you don't know a whole lot about it, one thing you do know is there's not a whole lot of wind. And yet these sails seem to be filling with a wind. And the entire ship kind of jerks and begins to arc to one side. I need everyone to make me acrobatics checks to maintain your footing.
Eight.
Oh, shit.
8.
Sorry, my wife walked in right at that moment. Yeah, it is a 5. Everyone's rolling a d10 unless you have something that allows you to roll something else. Coins, what'd you get? Dreezy.
8.
8. That is a failure. You go tumbling, pitching, and just fall kind of into the corner. Ezra.
Also 8.
Also 8. You go tumbling as well, slamming into the side of the wall yet again. Zolos.
I didn't do well. It was a 10.
Yeah, you pitch forward as well, tumbling, slamming against the wall. Skarn.
Lovely 3.
Lovely 3. You actually managed to grab onto the machine behind you and pull yourself up, keeping yourself in place. Lark.
I was gonna ask, would my fast reflexes help with this?
Yes, it would.
Okay. So then a D8. 4.
Hell yeah.
4. You manage to maintain your footing and kind of grab onto the wheel and hold yourself steady as the ship begins to rock. You all hold on for dear life. No doubt a couple of you screaming a little bit in terror as the ship just blasts off. The stars seem to streak as the ship begins to pick up speed, going faster and faster and faster. You all look out of the window. You're like, all you can do is try to hold on in this moment as you see something up ahead. It shimmers. It's almost mirror-like and it's oddly reflective. You see a little bit of your ship coming towards it, and all of you can't help but cry out, thinking you're about to smash into a mirror or another ship or something. But then, you blast past it, and you see a sight that is beyond imagining. The stars look as though they are a current of water that your ship seems to be sailing through. The colors change. It's not just black anymore. You see bright skews of purple and blue swirling all around your ship as you just coast through this. Your sails are full, and they seem to narrow almost to a point in front of you as you're looking at it. You can just basically see the bottom of the sails looking upward, but they narrow as they hit what you can only describe as a celestial wind current. What is the first thing you think of when you see this? Lark, you go first.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh boy. You said I had grabbed hold of the wheel to help myself to keep from falling over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in doing that, do I notice that it, like, does it affect the ship in any way?
It doesn't seem to move. Like it feels like it's locked in place. Like, have you ever gotten behind the wheel of a car and like you try to turn the steering wheel but it's locked up? That's kind of what it feels like. It barely moves just a little bit. Like it's just tough.
Okay. At this point, I think I'm just gonna freak out. I'm just gonna have a panic attack. I think that's what's gonna happen.
You just freak
Solid
out.
plan.
Panic?
Yeah, I'm just gonna start hyperventilating.
Fair enough.
Try to sit down and put my head between my knees.
The ship is beginning to calm down, or at least you're getting used to the force. The ship is it feels more like you're on a you're on a ship in slightly rough waters, but like the ship pitches a little bit and rumbles and shakes, but it's not horribly difficult. So you are able to like all start to climb up and get up again. Skarn, what's the first thing that comes to your mind as you see this odd starscape in front of you?
Yeah, so Skarn didn't fall, but I think they're just sort of... I'm imagining it slowly walking forward to get closer and closer to that window as it sees that broad expanse and just... It's in a bad way. I'm tired. I'm hurt. I had surgery done on me like 20 minutes ago. Then I fell over and hit a wall. Everything is confusing right now, but that is incredible, and I am going to learn everything about it someday.
Absolutely. Zolos, what thoughts are going through your mind as you start picking yourself up?
As he's like seeing, I guess, the colors and stuff changing, he's gonna look out. He's instantly gonna think back to when he was like 4 years old, and he went in with his father was doing some business with some of his, I guess, just associates, and he snuck up and he saw, it's like, oh, what's that little thing with smoke coming out of it? And his father had like a cigar, but it's definitely like a special, like, you know, it's not a normal cigar. It's a Loroupan cigar. It's got some long bottom leaf in it, something. And so he quick and took tug on it. You know, at 4 years old, he's not ready for that shit. And so he started coughing a lot, and then he saw some shit. And so now he's starting to think, he's like, this is exactly what he saw.
I love it. Dr. Bloom, what's going through your mind?
I think Dr. Bloom is, you know, of two minds right now. The very practical, we are all really injured and we are not where we are used to. We don't have what we typically, I think, what we would need, given the fact that all of my medical experience is, relevant to a place that we cannot see anymore. So there's a part of them that's freaking out, and then the other part of them that is inherently curious and also misses like their home among the Fae, is just sort of drinking in this majesty and trying to like deal with the fact that there are these two competing emotions in his heart of like, we have to do something, we have to figure out something, but at the same time it's like, can we just have this really beautiful moment? It's a weird mindset for Dr. Bloom, for sure.
I believe it. I definitely believe it. How about you, Boomy? What's come through your mind?
Pretty colors and lights. This is the coolest thing that this goblin's ever seen. And he starts like slowly moving up towards the window to get a better look. He's like, yeah, I think this might be what Professor Fogwillow was talking about in her book. He starts like looking through his bag and trying to flip through pages of Æther and Æther, the study of theoretical interdimensional travel.
Absolutely. As you're pulling out your book, you can't help but glance over towards that machine, that the button you pressed. The red light is no longer flashing. It is just a solid green color now, and that gray glass dome that was on the very top of the angled side of the thing, it's lit up. There's some backlight behind it, and you can see an odd green line, just a simple, very thin green line going across the screen from the lower left side to the top upper right.
Just like at an angle? Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost like
a graph?
Kind of, sort of. Like, it is still gray in color, though it's lit up. There is a backlight, and then this green lit line goes from the lower side up to the top. And it's just kind of a swoop.
Are any of the other buttons lit up on the console?
All of the lower buttons are now lit up.
Interesting.
Each one is of a different color as well, you notice.
Do they have symbols on them, or just colors?
They have symbols. They're kind of geometric in shape. There's quite a few different ones. Very similar to the alien writing you've seen in the blueprints you have.
Okay. And we're just continuously traveling? Do we not do we see anything other than just like light flashing by?
Right now, no. It's just these streaks of light going past, the marbling of the different colors, and the starscape going ahead. It's almost like you're sailing down a tunnel of light that also kind of bucks and shifts a little bit like the ocean.
Oh, this is amazing, guys. I don't know how I did it, but we're going somewhere.
It's really good, yeah.
And I'm gonna, Dreezy's gonna draw in his little diagram, like start and stop button, and draw like a little diagram of the console.
Absolutely. While that's going on, Lark obviously is having a panic attack next to the window. What do the rest of you want to do?
Zolos is going outside. He's just gonna walk out and just check out what the hell is going on.
You,
I guess, will the door open, or is it like a safety thing?
You walk over and check it, and the door does open without an issue. Like, you're expecting something, some sort of feeling, but as you step outside, you feel a little bit of like you can feel the ambient temperature around you is steady and consistent. It's there's air about you. You kind of step out onto the main deck and take a few experimental breaths, and you're breathing just fine.
It's just creeping him out a little bit. I mean, he'll walk forward, kind of check out the masts. I guess, is this up here, the wheel up here, is that like a manual thing for the mast?
That thing right there is the anchor mechanism.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I mean, he'll just be going around just checking out the things that he recognizes on his ship. They look similar, but probably much more advanced than he's ever used to. But he's just gonna find a nice quiet spot by, I guess, the frontal mast and just kind of sit down in front of it and just like look out, because he might check over the edge, see there's no water, which is freaking him out the most because he is a very water orientated person. And yeah, he's just gonna kind of just slump down and just realize they're not going home and just have a moment to himself.
Yeah. As you're kind of walking along the deck, you can't help but note the fact that, like, you're not feeling wind against you or anything like that. It's actually calm and steady out here on the deck, which is strange because those jerks of force threw you back. It kind of tells you, as somebody who's lived on ships your whole life, you know that during those moments, like, if you were out here on the deck,
he should have the wind in his hair, yeah.
But if in those moments of like jerking, when that sort of thing happens, there is a possibility you could fall off the deck as well. So you kind of note that in your mind. But the fact that there is no wind is also something of note. Now, as you walk towards that second mast, you glance back towards the cabin. You can see your friends all through the glass looking out. But behind you, there is no sign of the planet Loroupa. There's nothing but those streaking lights tunneling around you.
I mean, before he might run back in, tell Boomy, hey, push that button again and stop us, but I think at this point he's a little broken and he's just sitting there. He's just, like I said, he's just going to slump down and just be like, this is so far beyond all of us. He's like, he's seen the kitchen. He knows all the food is like, at least the stuff he saw, it's all rotten. And he's just, all this stuff's just this weird fun thing they had to set on fire. It's nothing but like a bunch of bloody, screaming mouths, the little brains. Now they're in space. Like, I guess we know they're in space, but he doesn't. He has no real concept of that. It's like he's a surfer that likes to get into fights. I mean, he's so overwhelmed and he has no idea. So yeah, he's just taking a slump next to the mast, something that probably is something he's done 1,000 times that just comforts him, and he's checking out for a minute.
That's fair. That is fair. As you slump down on the deck, leaning against the mast, you just kind of look out at that tunnel of light that's spinning past you. It's an odd sensation. It's almost like riding, like as a surfer, you know that moment when you're riding the waves and the wave starts coming around you and you're just going through a tunnel of water? That's almost what this feels like.
Well, that's kind of comforting to him, I'm sure.
And maybe you find a little bit of comfort in that as you sit there. Dr. Bloom, Skarn, what about the two of you?
I'm definitely checking on Lark, given the fact that she's having a panic attack. Kind of just doing the doctor thing because routines are really, really helpful in situations where we are all out of our depth. Something comforting and something familiar. So, just Lark, how you doing?
I just want to go home.
That's okay. That's totally fair. We can't right now, so why don't we find somewhere to sit so we can get a little more grounded? It's just going to be a lot of that. We're going to try to ground ourselves. At one point, I wouldn't be surprised if we're both lying on the deck, just looking up at this like beautiful, like celestial, like wind tunnel that we're in, and just try to focus on colors and what's right in front of us. But it's going to be a lot of comforting Lark because everyone else has their existential crisis is not as external as Lark's.
That's fair. So,
Sorry.
Dr. Bloom, why don't you give me a check of comfort and care?
Okay.
This is going to be a D8 for you, given that you are a medical professional. Lark, you tell us what you feel like she needs to aim for to try to get Lark out of her current freak out.
Okay. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. Nobody else is panicking. Everyone's calm. The ship is no longer moving, right?
Oh, it's moving.
Oh, it's moving.
Oh, it's moving.
Oh, okay. Well then...
But it's not like a bumpy movement, right? It's just a very like consistent.
Yeah, it honestly just feels like going across the ocean on a boat right now. So it's a little wavy, a little motion, but not horrible.
Those are familiar sensations, so that would help. And of course, Dr. Bloom's voice is very soothing. So I don't know what die are you rolling?
She's
an 8.
Yeah. They're rolling an 8.
Okay. I would say a 5.
Okay.
A 5. All right.
Roll a D8,
Yeah.
aim for a 5.
5. That's a 2. You got this. It's okay. It's okay. We're here.
Well, while that's going on, Skarn, what's going on with you?
Yeah, I think Skarn was just sort of standing by the window watching this, just totally mystified, in awe of the whole thing. And that, I think, kind of broke a little when Zolos went out front and just slumped against the mast in plain view of the window, like, okay, yeah, there's a problem, we need to deal with this. And so, yeah, I think probably, you said there was like a globe thing over here with some sort of crystal positioner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think my first move is to go look at that and see if it's changed at all. If this is some sort of navigational instrument, maybe that can tell us something.
Okay. You walk over and check out that device. So I'll describe it once more. It's about 3 feet tall on the base. It's made out of copper and trimmed with brass. On top of it, sitting on kind of a copper-looking stand, is a gigantic globe of glass or crystal or something. You're not quite sure the make of it. Inside the center of it, there is a small hum of a bluish green light that just kind of pulses there. It is lit up, as I said. Next to that, in a little bit of a slot, is another spindly-looking crystal. It's well, how do I describe this? It is I'm going to find how I actually it's kind of polyhedral in shape and size. You feel like you could fit it in your hand if you really wanted to. And then beneath that are a series of small brass buttons that are just inset along the edge of it. Underneath that is more of that alien script.
Okay. I think I misunderstood that a little bit earlier, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't think Skarn is doing anything immediately. People are kind of freaked out, and just pushing random buttons isn't going to solve the problem. We need to sit down and have a conversation about it. So, yeah, I think it's just going to keep investigating, because if this is a ship, they have to have some kind of heading system, maybe some kind of space compass, anything at all. So, hopefully, if I can find something that's different than it was before we left, then...
Okay. I think what I'd like for you to do is make an investigation check. I don't think you have anything that can really help or hinder this check.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I have the investigate talent.
Oh, you have the investigate talent, so that will help you out then. So that's good. So this is going to be directly an investigation check. So this is going to be a D8. I don't have a DC for you because based on what you roll is what information you're going to get. So let's just see what you roll, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Looks like that'll be a 4.
Okay. So, as you glance about, all of the machines in this, other than like that one that's just nothing but brass tubes, has changed and is now lit up. The one towards the, directly towards the back, right here, that's the one with the large purple circle of glass inset into it. That has a single pinprick of light in the dead center of it. And then as you're watching, a sort of ring expands outward and disappears against the edge. And then about half a minute later, another one comes out, and it repeats that same 30-second spacing, just constantly. Okay? Beneath that, there's 3 smaller rounded squares of glass that were gray. Those are also backlit now as well. Those don't have anything on them. They're completely blank, other than the fact that they are backlit now. And that's the one that has I'm going to describe it as typewriter-looking buttons, just for ease. You know how they have kind of like the triangle piece of metal and then it's just flat? It looks kind of like that beneath those. So those don't light up or anything like that, but that whole console is lit up. Next to it is that a crystal tube filled with a bluish mist inside of it that spins slightly, but and it's like on a holder. So imagine a brass stand about 3 feet tall, and then it has arms upward, and then there's the canister of crystal with a brass stopper on either side of it. That just constantly spins. But other than that, it doesn't do anything else. Now, the last
Very
thing you notice, because you rolled a 4, that's a pretty good roll on this, you do notice that up towards that first device, the one that Boomy touched, you see the line. It is moving slightly. Like, it's in a slightly different position. The lower swoop is kind of just at an angle now. And so it looks like it has changed a little bit since the first time you looked at it.
Okay. All right. That's a lot of information, but I think I can make something with this. Thank you.
That's what you can roll. And so now that we've kind of talked to everybody here real quick, let's just open things up. Is there anything anybody wants to do? This is also a perfect time that we can allow some time to just pass if everyone just wants to do long-term things.
I think I'm going to spend some time, take out my journal, and I'm just gonna write another letter back home to the family, stating what's been happening in the craziness and how fucking terrifying everything is.
Okay.
I think after a time, Zolos would get up, make himself useful. He will check the kitchen one more time just to see what kind of supplies are there. And if that's all spoiled stuff, then he's going to go to the cargo hold and just start finding something to open crates and see what they have to work with on this ship.
Okay. Are you letting anybody know that you're going down to do that, or you just kind of get up and walk downstairs?
If somebody sees him through the window, he's just kind of wave and just point down. I mean, if somebody wants to follow him, they can follow him. But yeah, he's just going.
Okay.
He's not the sciencey type. He doesn't know what all that other shit means, but he at least knows the basics of being able to work on and, now run a ship that runs on the water. But, so he'll do what he can.
Okay. Well, as Zolos is heading down there, I'm gonna just leave it up to the rest of you. Does anybody see Zolos and join in?
Dr. Bloom definitely follows Zolos down to take stock of the infirmary to see whether or not they can arrange sort of like little mini first aid kits for everyone, depending on what the supplies are, in case we're in a lurch or far away from one another and something terrible happens again. So I would follow Zolos for sure down. Try to make myself useful too.
Absolutely. Skarn, Boomy.
No, I'm gonna stay where I am and continue to try to make some notes about these machines. And
I feel like that's very much the mode Skarn's into, is just like trying to share observations with Boomy, see if they can come up with anything together. Like, we had that great conversation about multidimensional metaphysics yesterday. Like, we can figure this out.
Yep.
Absolutely. I like it. Okay. So, I would like, since the two of you are working together, I'd either like the both of you to roll separately, or one of you to just roll with 2 dice. This is just going to be a science and investigation check. This is the two of you kind of looking at everything, do a thorough examination of it, start talking about it, maybe even pressing a few buttons to see what different things do. So I want the two of you to do that. You're going to be rolling this is going to be a D12 unless you have something that you can argue will make it a D10, because this isn't unfamiliar territory. This is an unfamiliar ship.
Mm-hmm.
You're aiming for a 3. However, if you roll a 4 or a 5, you will get information as well. But 3 is perfect.
Very difficult.
Now, would that investigate trait apply here, since that's to extract information from your surroundings, or?
Yeah, I think I'll allow it.
Okay, rad.
I'm just winging it. I don't have any abilities to help with this. Boom! Ooh, a 5.
Hail science.
Hail science.
Yeah, that's from Futurama.
That's why it's familiar.
Good news, everyone! That's when they do like the ritual to install Bender's hard drive or whatever, or put his spirit back into his hard drive or something like that.
Nope.
Nope.
Very nope, in fact.
Okay. So I'm gonna, you rolled an 8. Dreezy rolled a 5. So you are gonna get some information here. While I'm doing that, I want Dr. Bloom and Zolos to also make for me a scavenging check, essentially. You're searching. Zolos is searching the kitchen for food, and then going down to the cargo hold and start opening boxes to see what's in there. And Dr. Bloom is heading to the infirmary to look through everything, try to figure out what things are, start putting together first aid kits for everybody. So if you have anything you want to argue, you can. If not, you're rolling d10s, and you're aiming for a 4.
Investigation still works for this check, right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's a 6.
So while the two of them are rolling, Dreezy and Skarn, this is you're spending basically the rest of the day doing this, just so everybody knows. You're spending several hours going through the ship, looking through all this stuff. The two of you are looking at these devices and trying to figure out what they do. So you rolled a 5, which wasn't the number we were looking for, but I did say at a 4 or a 5 you are getting some information. And so here's the information you're getting. Skarn, you noticed that device that Dreezy had been messing around with previously had changed, and so that's where the two of you spend your focus, because you're still keeping that other object, the one with the expanding circle at the corner of your eye, just to see if anything changes. But over several hours, nothing happens. No change happens. However, during that time, the device that Dreezy had first touched does change. And these things are interesting. And you start kind of talking about it a little bit, discussing what it might be. The more you talk about it, the more you think about it, the more you're like, this machine has got to have something to do with navigation. Why else would it be so close to the wheel? And so you kind of start looking at it, and you notice that there's a dial to one side of it. And you kind of give it a few experimental clicks, and you notice that as you do, the line on the screen changes, goes bigger and smaller. And so you start expanding it outward, getting it smaller and smaller and smaller until more lines become visible. Now, the first thing you note is that the line you're on currently, the one that you seem to be traversing, is really freaking long. Ridiculously so. Because at the end, you start seeing a network of spider webs of various lines that go here and there and crisscross all over the place. and you start seeing a network of lines. You can go ahead and ask a question if you want.
Okay, so please feel free to shoot me down here given our roles, but if we're seeing a line that we seem to be traversing, is it possible to follow that line backwards and see where it originated from?
Yeah, because as you're expanding it back and back and back, you can see where it ends. And there is a point at the end, and there's a little dot there. And you're actually not that from when you pull it back really, really far, so you can see the network on the far side. Like, your position must not be very far at all away from that. But you're guessing that dot at the end of it is gotta be where you came from. Because there are no other dots along that. But then as you start looking at the network at the far end of that line, you're starting to, you see other dots as well.
Okay. I don't suppose the dots are color-coded.
No, unfortunately not on this. It's all one uniform color.
Yeah, had to ask.
However,
if we're here, how do we figure out to veer and change our course?
Well, I don't know. But if this is a map, then at least we can find our way back eventually. Once we figure out how to turn the thing.
Hopefully.
Huh. I think all those other dots are, like, more, well, celestial bodies?
Are you asking me that, or are you asking Boomy that?
Boomy, since we're in scene there.
I don't know. Let's just push some more random buttons.
I really feel like we should at least be documenting which buttons we push.
Well, what if we just push the same one again? Maybe that'll stop us. We can see where we are.
That's a good idea, actually.
Alright, here it goes. Hold on to something. I'm gonna press the button that was flashing red and is now it's solid green, is that what you said?
It is solid green. When you push it down again, it flashes red. And then you release, but nothing happens.
Uh-oh.
You push it again a second time. And when you push it inward, it turns red again. But nothing else happens.
Huh.
Well, that's not what I expected.
No. But I guess that does tell us something. If you're already pushed one, then you can't push it again. I wonder...
Maybe this is
I have
only
an
the
idea
start.
what it aids at. Maybe. But if this is a map, maybe it's also a place on the map.
Perhaps.
And so nothing's happening because we're already going to that place. If we pushed a different button, maybe we'd go somewhere else.
Anything's worth a try. Pick one.
Oh, let's try something green. I always loved green.
Okay. You spend some time kind of fiddling with the different buttons and things like that. You kind of begin to ascertain that the buttons work with the kind of control the screen. Some of them move it up, down, left, right, and kind of reposition it. You find one that like homes in back and turns on a little beacon that flashes on the line. And you kind of realize, oh, that's us. That shows where we are on here. You're like, probably want to keep that on. You find one that homes the screen in on that point, and ones that kind of are able to move and that sort of thing. Some of them also, when you move and you move it around and click other buttons on it, it kind of locks in on those little points. You click on one point and it expands it inward, and it shows several dots of different sizes on the screen and little rings around it. There's one larger circle in the center, and then there's rings around that, and on those rings there's 3 or 4 different smaller circles.
Like a solar system.
Exactly. It shows, and then if you click, and then you kind of move it around and click on one in particular, and then a screen of text pops up. At which point you have to kind of
I sure wish we knew what this said.
That would be lovely. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna lie, since the first button made it go, I really thought these buttons would be go place buttons, but I guess not. Well, we're making progress, at least.
You are indeed. And speaking of progress, let's turn over to Zolos, who first headed into the mess hall itself. And I'm actually going to just show that to you on the map, because, I love doing that sort of thing.
And he didn't roll well either time.
You did not, unfortunately. You rolled a 9. And so the unfortunate thing is that you do not find any edible food or water in the mess hall. And you're like really discouraged when you come out of that. However, you do go down into the cargo hold after that and start searching around. You're just going to start opening boxes, and this is going to take you many, many hours, because there is quite a bit of stuff down there. However, after several hours of labor of just pulling down boxes, wedging them open, you do find a crowbar in the workstation area, so you do have a tool to help you do this. You do find quite a lot of stuff. Now, you do find some foodstuffs that are rotten, fruits and vegetables, that sort of thing. However, you do find quite a lot of boxes of dried goods, non-perishable stuff, dried meats, dried beans, dried fruits, and some dried root vegetables and things like that. There are provisions down in the cargo hold. You're also very happy to find boxes of glass bottles filled with water. Quite a good supply as well. You find boxes filled with clothes of various sizes. You find quite a lot of bottles of alcohol, actually. There's quite a bit of alcohol down there. You find boxes filled with ores and various metals, some precious metals, in fact. You actually find a chest that is locked. And you're like, that looks like a treasure chest.
Got a crowbar.
That's going to be a check to open. But you find quite a bit of ore of different various metals. You find random parts and supplies and things of that nature. A lot of parts that you're not familiar with, like gears and tubes and various things that kind of remind you of that gigantic room on the second floor that's just filled with odd sort of devices and contraptions, engines, you're guessing, based on, you're on a flying ship and all. So you're guessing there's repair parts down there as well. So that's what you find during those long hours. Now, when it comes to the end of that, how are you feeling now that you see that you actually do have supplies?
Well, as soon as he started finding like perishables and then the water, he's infinitely better than he was before. And then when he finds all of the extra alcohol, I mean, now the parts, hey, this is great. He's gonna like maybe scratch like a B into each of those boxes for Boomy to let him know, because I don't know if he found markers or ink or anything like that. But yeah, he's setting those aside. But yeah, he's ecstatic that he found supplies to at least know that they aren't going to die now. At least not from starvation or hunger anytime soon. So, I mean, that he's excited about. I mean, he might start loading some of it and taking it in to the galley to at least kind of load some stuff up. And then I guess at the end of it, when he's kind of done so, he'd probably take, a few of the bottles of water, maybe a couple of liquor, and he'd go topside and start looking for people.
Okay. Now, while that's going on, Dr. Bloom, you went to the med bay and started scrounging around and start looking through everything. What did you roll?
I rolled a 3.
You rolled a 3. Okay. You find quite a bit of stuff, and you're a doctor. Good news is that there's quite a bit of medicine here that, while in different forms than what you're used to, you are able to start recognizing quite a bit of it. This stuff is this is the iodine, this is the hydrogen peroxide, stuff like that. Here's the rubbing alcohol. You start recognizing everything. You find just throughout this area little belts that have pouches and things of it like that just hanging in one of the shelves. You kind of pull it out and start making these little supply kits for everybody: bandages, iodine, all the different stuff that they might need to patch themselves up, and that sort of thing. It takes you quite a while to work through everything, but with that 3 that you rolled, you're kind of getting an idea of what this whole layout is. You have your chem set up over to one side that you're fairly certain you can use to make alchemical compounds if you were to so desire. Use it for scientific experiments, that sort of thing. It's a pretty fully functional setup you have here. While you you still don't understand the language there, you know what the things are. Now, you may not know whether or not their labels coincide to your name for these things, but you're kind of putting a little bit of stuff together and you're starting to recognize that, and you feel fairly confident after your several hours of work in here that if anybody does get hurt, you can patch them up here. And it also kind of reminds you that, hey, you're jacked up, a lot of your friends are jacked up. You probably might want to start bringing them in and patching everybody up here somewhat soon.
For sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, once the little kits are done, I'd probably also go topside to find everyone and hand them out. Just to be sure that even if someone does get injured and can't do it themselves, they have it on them.
Absolutely.
So someone who can heal them can do it.
Absolutely. And Lark, you said you were just sitting down there in the cabin and you're writing letters to your family, kind of talking about the just absolute insanity you've been going through.
Yep.
Do you do anything else during that time, or is there anything you want to talk about with that?
I think once I'm done writing my letter, I probably realize that I'm like alone for the most part. And so I start going down trying to find someone to follow.
Well, Boomy and Skarn were in the cabin along with you during that time. They were talking and playing around with the navigation system.
Yeah, lots of chatter about, no, push this button next. That one, yeah, that'll do it for sure.
Yeah, no, that sounds stressful, and I just calmed down from a panic attack, so I'm going to leave that situation alone. I'm probably going to end up trying to find Dr. Bloom and helping them put the kits together.
Okay. Yeah, you could have absolutely headed down and helped out Dr. Bloom. So by the time all that's done, no doubt the two of you would be heading back up. About the same time, Zolos comes up from the bottom of the cargo hold and carrying some water and some booze. Sounds like.
Yeah, just some that, maybe some of the dried meats or something like that.
Okay.
Just so it's like he'd put together a sack and bring something up that people could have something to eat, drink, replenish.
Okay. And with that, I'm going to say that you all kind of reconvene back in the main cabin of the ship. Zolos with a bag full of goodies. Dr. Bloom passing out belts with a little first aid kit on them to everybody. And you can all sit down and compare notes, which is an excellent place to pause so we can all go on break. Mm-hmm. So we will be back in about 10 minutes, folks, and when we return, we're going to find out what our heroes get up to here on the ship. Stay tuned. Howdy, everybody. We are back. And when we last left Earth, our group of guards that are, I guess, technically now AWOL, are hurling through the void of the astral sea, propelled on the winds of the Æther. And they have no fucking clue how to get out of it. So let's get right back into it with our heroes at the end of a very long, not really day, because you are all out there at the dead of night when you found this ship, and then you shot off, and then you spent quite a few hours looking around the ship. So all of you are fucking exhausted, hungry, thirsty, and just pretty damn drained after this long and very stressful day. But fortunately, Skarn and Boomy, as the two of you finish fiddling with what we're going to be calling the navigation array, Zolos, Lark, and Dr. Bloom all show up, and Zolos is carrying a bag of something that turns out to be food and drink. So, what do you all do?
Oh, okay, everybody's back. That's great. We figured this thing out. We know how it works. Sort of.
Or less.
We did it. But just specifically this thing, not all of them. We're working on it.
For navigation system.
Does that one get us home?
Well, not yet, but it's actually probably the best one we could have figured out, because now we know where home is on the map, so we're not going to get lost.
Okay, that's good. How do we get closer to home instead of away?
Not gonna lie, we might need a couple more days on that, but we're making progress.
I mean, that's good. That's good. That's not nothing. So that's good.
So he's like, you guys keep doing this. This one smells like it'll make you go blind. And he's just gonna hand a bottle over to Skarn.
What now? What is?
It smells like it's gonna make you go blind if you drink enough of it. So that means it's good. There you go. And he's just gonna hand it and walk away.
Interesting.
He's probably.
See, now I have to answer the question, because Skarn is like 19, and their dad is the military commander of a fort. I don't know if they would have been able to sneak booze before.
I feel
Don't
like
say that out loud.
Yeah, I feel like you absolutely could have theoretically. It depends on whether or not you.
Okay.
If you're willing to go the length to do it. If you want, you can just make it a dice roll to see whether or not you ever had the opportunity to try.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Roll a d20.
Roll the die. Roll the
D20?
die.
Oh.
I'm going to say that, yeah, with a 12, you had an opportunity to sneak alcohol. Whether or not you chose to do it is up to you.
Yes, absolutely. If the opportunity was on the table, I mean, I have to figure out how this rock body thing works. Can I get drunk? The answer is yes.
Mm-hmm. And you absolutely did. You drank enough to just knock yourself on your ass. And the hangover you experienced, you know how it feels to have when a rock splits in half.
Dad had me running laps around the fort for like 3 hours the next day.
Now, comparatively, if you stole alcohol from your dad, the base commander, it was probably some pretty good hooch. Do you drink the bottle that Zolos provides?
I think we're done for the day, so yes. Not going to be pushing any buttons after this.
Yeah, let's give me a roll to see whether or not you can hold your liquor. This is a constitution check. You're going to be rolling a d10. Aim for a 5.
See what we can do.
Sick.
All right.
What'd you get?
Exactly the opposite.
That's that 3 again.
That's a 3. You take a sip and it's not good. It is very astringent. It's moonshine, essentially. However, like, that burn hits your throat and you just power through it and take a couple nice big gulps out of the bottle. And don't show any sign of the fact that it, comparatively to what you drank when you stole it from your dad, this is awful.
It's brown liquor.
Sure.
It's brown liquor, and that is the only defining characteristic of it. Literally, brown liquor.
You know what? This is like space food or something. I probably should have thought about that before I started pouring it down my throat. Oh well, not dead yet.
Only got one purpose, buddy. Just to get you drunk. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I think we're all lost from home. With probably no hope of ever getting back.
Oh no, we're good there.
Oh, we are? So you know how to get us back?
Well, like I say, we found it on the map.
Are you sure that's what we're looking at? Because I don't know about you. I've never been up here before, so I wouldn't know what Loroupa looks like on whatever that is. So you're 100% sure it's home?
Well, we found where the ship left from, so since we left from Loroupa, yeah.
But what if it's where it left from originally?
Then it would be a really bad map.
Now.
You're thinking too hard. Take a swig of that booze.
I've been sipping on it the whole time. As soon as he found some of it, he just popped a bottle, took a sip, and kept opening crates. He's
Dreezy like snatches the bottle and downs a little bit. He's like, "It ain't no goblin grog, but it's all right."
I'm sure there's some good stuff down there. I mean, there's probably some good stuff up here. Or he might have to find where the captain hid the good stuff later, and maybe he'll share it with everybody else. But right now, he found the rot gut.
Huh.
Or the Obi Joyful. You know, some of the weird shit they made during the Civil War. They had gun oil in it and chunks of raw meat. But it did the job.
It did the job. Okay. Well, you all kind of sit there in that cabin, partaking in a meal, drinking probably more than any of you all should, but at least there's water there too.
So there is water too.
Yeah.
He did bring up water. He didn't just bring the hooch.
But you are also all feeling worn down. You've all been injured. Some of you have been burned, others have been, impaled, and none of you are looking all that great. And you've been up for probably a good 18 hours. So as you all eat and drink and that sort of thing, like, that's starting to hit you all. It definitely is. What are your thoughts as far as that? As you start feeling drowsy, and like that lethargy, just the effect of the day is starting to hang on you all. What do you want to do? Are you going to hold up here in the cabin? You did see at the very bottom there is bunk rooms. One of them had a critter thing in it. Now currently has that charred corpse of the critter still in the hallway. You all kind of remember.
Critter corpse.
Yeah. So there is that too.
Hey, I don't know what y'all think, but weren't there supposed to be more of those brain things somewhere? Maybe we should stick together for tonight and not be splitting off into bunks.
Definitely agree.
I think we searched pretty much the entire ship. I don't think we found anything else. Unless they're hiding.
I thought didn't we count them and there were...
Well, I think quite a few of them probably went maybe into the big one. But I mean, we searched every room. I mean, and he's been in the cargo hold for hours. I mean, I think one of them would have, slithered up on him in that time.
Oh, okay then. Still think I'm gonna stay up here tonight, because we're just kind of going, and if something happens, somebody should be here to do something about it. I don't know what we'll do, but I'll do something, I'm sure.
What if we go down there and get like some pillows and blankets and stuff, and just have a little sleepover in the cabin?
That'd be Great, yeah.
All right, yeah. Dreezy will go down there and collect some. What am I trying to say? Some comfort items.
Yeah,
Pillows, blankets.
pillows, that sort of
Try to
thing.
make like little pallet on the floor, whatever.
Okay. Yeah. You do have to head back into the bedroom area of the ship. I'm blanking on the nautical term for it, but the little bunk rooms.
Dormitory.
Each one has about 4 hammocks hanging from it. You definitely steer clear of the one where the creature was before, because it is just nasty, and there's really not a whole lot left in there. But in the other rooms, there are footlockers that have pillows and blankets and things like that in there. So you are able to collect a good assortment of them and bring them back up into the cabin along with your friends, and kind of make a little bit of a makeshift nest for everybody there on the floor.
We sleep in a pile.
Just a good old cuddle puddle. Does anybody do anything else to prepare for the evening, for going to sleep, or do you want to do like watches or things like that?
No, not really.
Okay.
How's everybody looking health-wise, just in terms of hit points? Because I think some of us are still pretty messed up, right?
I think we're all messed up.
You are.
I got 2 of 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
think everybody else has 1.
Yeah.
Okay, but my question, I guess, really is who still has the thing where they can't heal from sleeping?
I might be messed up. It depends on how well I roll.
Okay,
I think I do.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me check my journal. I'm pretty sure I
Where
do.
I put that.
Yes.
okay. Yeah, I can't get both of you, but so at the last level up, I took the healing power, and I don't think Skarn realizes it has that yet, but it's drunk and confused, and I think it just sort of, near the end of the night, as it's really starting to doze off, just sort of reaches out and pats Dr. Bloom on the shoulder, and as it does, I'm sorry for squishing you before. I thought I could, like... Stuff doesn't usually make me fall over. I thought I'd be okay. I'm sorry I hurt you. And as it says that, the hand just starts to glow and heal a hit point there. It doesn't even realize it did that at this point. It's just...
Nice. But Dr. Bloom, as Skarn's kind of patting you there and touching you, you just feel this warmth kind of envelop your body. And your wounds like itch a little bit, and you kind of look down and you see them starting to close up.
That's so cool.
Now, Loroupa is a world of magic, so you are familiar with magic, but none of you have had it before. I will remind you all. So, how do you react, Dr. Bloom?
Just really fascinated. You don't have to apologize for knocking into me. It couldn't be helped. But what you just do you realize what you just did? Because I feel like
Said I'm sorry?
no, you. I think you have something special. A couple of my
the glowy stuff. It shot us.
Something to do with the glowy stuff, I think. Dr. Bloom's also very aware that Skarn's lit, so and seeing that there's this hand touch and glow is very curious about how to make that manifest and is concentrating really hard and sort of hovers a hand over a particularly nasty wound on Skarn and sees whether or not it'll do anything. And because I also took heal, it does do something.
So
Okay.
with that same motion, Skarn, whatever it is that you just pumped into Dr. Bloom, they reciprocate, and you feel that same warmth enveloping you. And as that happens, those wounds that you had suffered begin to fill with that golden kind of liquidy blood in your body and kind of begin to harden and refill those cracks.
Oh. Huh. That was weird.
But very interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to investigate this further.
Yeah.
I learned it from you.
Lots of questions to ask. Wait, what?
I just did what you did. I concentrated really hard to try to... We can talk about it more in the morning. Just, I know that Lark needs some additional healing. Don't you, friend? And
I'm pretty
Dreezy
rough.
as well.
I got blown up not long before we we went and fought really scary monsters.
Do you? I realize a critical error in me healing is, do you have effort for us to spend to make it? No. See, this is a problem.
No, my effort got spent driving this thing, this craft. I want to call it a boat, but I don't think that's right. Or accurate, maybe? Could be right. Maybe it's not accurate.
It does definitely look boat-like.
And just to clarify, so Lark, you will not get any healing whatsoever if we sleep.
My journal says, as of February 26th, I have the life-threatening injury level 2 from being blown up.
So every time you sleep, your wounds decrease in severity by 1. When they've gone to 0, that wound is gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I also have two wounds.
2 wounds.
Oh,
Or level
I have...
2 wound.
Okay.
Okay. So
then-
sleep will help.
Okay, so if I sleep, I'll go down to level 1?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay. All right.
Whew.
Yeah, because I was...
Yeah, I thought the whole like life-threatening injury and a wound, I thought those were 2 separate things, but they're the same thing.
No, the life-threatening injury is the wound.
Gotcha. Okay, that was my misunderstanding. Thank you.
No problem. So yeah, as you sleep, it decreases by 1. And also, Dr. Bloom, don't you have an ability to reduce wounds?
I do. Just double checking whether or not it will require additional effort. Because I can identify things. I have paramedic. But that's during melee. That was the tricky part. Which is why I took heal, because the paramedic feature only works when we're in combat, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
But I can heal more folks up after we sleep. Get
I
here
gotta be
sorted.
honest, I think that might be a weird quirk of this book. Because it does say a creature other than you in melee, but it also says spend 5 minutes, and that's a lot of rounds.
Yeah.
A lot of
at
rounds.
the cost of 2 effort, you can spend 5 minutes.
Unless the effort is spent if you're in melee, and then out of combat you can spend 5 minutes, maybe?
Like
I don't
in
know.
melee range, maybe?
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think
Maybe it's a melee
meant
range.
to be in melee range. You just have to be right
okay.
next to them to do it. But if it takes
I'm gonna
5
add
minutes
that.
to do that, you can just Yeah, you can just do it. So you can go around, and we're gonna call this kind of based on Pathfinder rules a little bit. You can do each person once, but you can't do it like just once, rapid fire. You know what I mean? You can only do it once in a so many period.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna put this.
So like once per person per long rest?
Yeah, once per person per long rest. I feel like that's fair.
Okay. Yeah. So after a long rest, I'll get either Dreezy or Lark.
Okay. Well, then it sounds like everyone is bedding down now and trying to get a long rest here in the cabin of the ship, while watching the oddest scene of stars and just swirl by you all. No doubt it's a little hard at first to fall asleep, but then again, you have alcohol, so that helps out a lot.
Gotta get my beauty rest, you know?
In the end, after probably a little bit of effort, you are all able to find that comfortable place and drift off to sleep. So you are all able to get that rest. Now, in this game, the way you get rest is by sleeping for an 8-hour period. You will regain all of your health and your effort unless you have that wound. If you have a wound, the wound decreases in severity by 1. So those of you who have the life-threatening injury from getting blown up or almost dying in some other way, you're just going to reduce that wound by 1 for now. You will not regain any hit points, but you do still regain your effort.
Cool.
Okay.
To clarify, because Dr. Bloom has the insomnia struggle, but has alcohol, what does that mean for me?
Okay, so for your with your insomnia struggle, I'm gonna say that you will still have to make this check. The alcohol is going to help, so I'm going to allow you to roll a d10. You have to roll above an 8.
Much appreciated. And is it meant to be? It's a 2.
It's a 2.
I
yes.
get to rest. Haha.
So wait, did Bloom heal us 1 hit point before we went to sleep? Is that what was said or no?
No. Dr. Bloom healed Skarn, and Skarn healed Dr. Bloom.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, so I just get the effort back, but no health. Okay.
But you do get your effort back, and you are reducing your wound severity by 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, your rest goes by unhindered. Nothing really happens. It's actually kind of peaceful sleeping on the deck of the ship. It kind of rocks a little bit gently back and forth as the ship just passes through the aether space. So, with the booze and everything, no doubt you all have a very peaceful rest. Now, when you wake up in the morning, whether or not you have a hangover is up to you. There was water, so if you do have one, it's probably very, very light. But you do waken, once again, to find yourselves in the exact spot you were in when you went to bed. Unfortunately, you all realize that the previous 24 hours was not just some bad dream. It did, in fact, happen. And you are indeed still here on the ship, hurtling through space. Now, I feel like the reality of your situation, it allows us to kind of speed forward a little bit. Because as you all rise up and kind of get up and start your day, you're going to have some breakfast and that sort of thing, which you can have since Zolos did find plenty of food and most likely tea and coffee down there as well. So you can have a good meal. But as you're all getting up and kind of preparing, I imagine at least one of you goes over and kind of fiddles with the navigation array. And as you do, you can't help but judge that based on your current circumstances, you're guessing that it's going to be a good 3 to 4 days before you hit your first junction. Now, as you kind of look at that sort of thing, what it is the line of your path hits a point and kind of spider webs into 5 different directions from there. And at that intersection from there, it goes off in various other directions, some of which leads to the little dots that you're guessing are other solar systems, whereas more of them just kind of keep intersecting and crisscrossing, leading in various other directions. The more you zoom in on those little parts, the more you can tell that all these splinters eventually do lead to different locations. But the first instance you're coming up in kind of splinters in various directions. But like I said, you're guesstimating 3 to 4 days before you hit that. So, since we have that in mind, we can kind of speed through a little bit of your day if we want to. So let's kind of go around the table and discuss what you want to do here after you have breakfast. We'll imagine one of you volunteers to actually make breakfast. I don't really care who, but you're all sitting around the table just outside the mess hall. Cabin, mess hall, whatever, sitting there, cups of coffee or tea in your hands, a bowl of something rehydrated and cooked. Who wants to volunteer for that? Who made breakfast this morning? Lark did. Knowing the fact that it's just dried rations and stuff like that, what do you think you would have made?
Do we have a surface for heating?
Mm-hmm. You actually do.
A flat top? Cool. I'm gonna try to make pancakes.
You absolutely could have made pancakes. There's crates of flour. You can find stuff that you taste it and it's baking soda. There's no vanilla or anything like that, unfortunately, but you do find sugar as well. So you can.
I use a bit of the booze just to give it a little bit of flavor.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Get some whiskey in there. It'll be fine.
There is a supply of coal down in the cargo hold as well, so you can heat up the stove in the mess hall and make yourself a fairly decent meal of pancakes, apparently. No butter, no syrup, unfortunately, but hey, it's a start. So, as you're all kind of sitting around the table thinking about what you're actually going to be doing today, let's kind of go around and talk about that. Who knows what they want to be doing here on the ship today?
I would probably talk to Skarn about this one, but I feel like we should heal the little ones.
Do the what now?
We should heal up the little ones so they're not, suffering any life-threatening injuries anymore.
I mean, if I can help you, I will, but I'm not a medical professional. I'm a second set of hands.
Very talented, very magical second set of hands. Let's go.
Don't know what you mean by that, but sure.
You don't remember a thing, do you?
About what?
glowing hands, a weird feeling of warmth, a closing of random injuries.
No.
No. Okay. that's fair. Let's go find Dreezy and Lark, and I'll see if what I do will spark any memory there. So
Worth a shot.
yeah. So I'm assuming we're all in the mess hall. Can't hear you, Matt.
Yeah, you are all in kind of together here in the midship, sitting around a table right outside the kitchen. So they're right there. The two of you absolutely could go around healing. I imagine you're taking the lead on this. So who are you healing up?
Probably Dreezy first. Just sort of.
Thank you.
Go up. Hey, yeah.
They're the braver and they're just braver and won't be too afraid to, try things and, get us out of this mess.
Oh no.
So. Good.
I'm prepared to press any button and bear the consequences.
And I do appreciate that. Yes. It is in their very reserved, sort of ruffled way, but also just sort of. Also, you're cooking right now. You're at a stove. I don't think it would be wise to try to do something all of the sudden while you're beside something very hot. That's my medical professional opinion on that one. The rest of us are just sitting at this table and/or helping you in different ways, away from the super hot thing. So happy to heal Drees, but also demonstrate it to Skarn that this is what it looks like. And when you did it the night before, the reason why I figured out how to do this is by watching you do it. You did it to me. Right? It's interesting, isn't it? But focusing on sort of, think of it this way. Visualize like a sort of like wound, something open, and focus on it like closing or filling up. In your case, I was focused on any open wounds sort of filling up. So that might help in terms of making it happen again. But we'll wait until Lark's, away from a super hot thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, but where did it... I mean, the thing I got was they'll just sort of wave a finger and a couple little tiny silent fireworks will pop off, and where does healing come into that? That doesn't...
Honestly,
Suddenly I have a lot more questions.
That's good. I love questions.
Always more questions.
Always more
questions. Are great.
Well, Dr. Bloom, you reach out and touch Boomy. You expend 2 efforts, and you just focus on healing your friend. You feel the magic surge out of you into them, healing them up. And Boomy, you do heal 1 point of health.
Ooh. Feels good.
Excellent. That's what we want to hear.
Skarn, once Lark finishes up making up breakfast for everybody, do you attempt the same thing?
I mean, yeah, if it's okay. I don't want to try any weird magic on you if you're not comfortable with it.
I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're sure.
You reach your hand out and touch Lark on the head with that massive mid of yours. focusing your magic towards them in an effort to heal. And at the cost of 2 effort, you are able to heal Lark up 1 hit point.
Yay! I'm full.
Hey,
Okay. Okay.
you did it.
Whoa!
Weird.
Oh, that's awesome! I feel so much better. Ugh.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Oh, I didn't even know that rib was not quite right. Whew. Thanks, and I'm just gonna pat your elbow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, as you finish your flapjacks, a little more healed up and feeling better, what are the plans for today?
Well, I don't know about you, Dreezy, but I think we should probably try to figure out another machine today, right?
Let's do it.
Do you have any thoughts on which one? You still got the big circle thing, or the big globe thing, or the misty tube thing, or...
Misty tube.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Let me know if you want help.
Yeah, I mean, of course. That would be more hands, light work, right?
As long as it's not too many cooks in the kitchen.
Come on, we'll make you stick your fingers in. I mean, you can help.
Okay, I'm good at reaching things in small spaces.
Great, yeah.
I'm just gonna look back. I'm just gonna follow both of them out, and I'm gonna look back at Zolos and the doctor. My eyes are gonna be this big, like, what am I doing?
Okay, so the 3 of you are heading back up to the command deck to kind of start studying the devices a little bit more. Dr. Bloom, Zolos, what about the 2 of you?
I think, he was looking through all the crates, finding stuff. I think he would start doing like a proper inventory of it and stock the kitchen at least. And then I guess, maybe grab Skarn later and like move all those extra parts. Like see if we can find room, help. He gets help. He'll help. He's not gonna just make you do it. But he would like move those over into, I guess, Boomy's, the workshop area, or so he's gonna do what he can to at least start, making this seem like, they can actually live on this ship.
Okay, I get it. Why don't you roll for me a new investigation check? This is an inventory check.
Because I would be helping Zolos with all of the inventory pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way I can help in terms of this role?
Yeah. If you're assisting, then Zolos can just add a second dice to this. You are rolling a d10. You are aiming for a 4. Is the best possible result.
Okay. Woohoo! That's 1. 1
yeah.
and a 10. A 1 and a 10.
Nice. Okay, and while that's going on, Boomy, Skarn, and Lark, the 3 of you are basically doing science. So y'all can either do a science check yourselves, or if the 3 of you are all working together, we can have just one person make a roll. You can add 2 dice to it.
I don't know. Whatever y'all think.
If it's a science role, you're like an artificer, right? Do you have specialties there?
Currently, I can repair things.
Aha.
But yeah, that's about it. I don't think I actually get any advantage on just experimenting with stuff.
I'm good at like sussing out extra information. Well, I don't know. Can I like are each of these different devices completely separate, or do they seem like interconnected? Like, is there anything that connects the part that they've already kind of started figuring out to the misty tube, as Boomy called it?
Not really. I'll answer that without a roll, because like there's tubes that go out of that device, the navigation device, that go down into the floor, but there's none that there's nothing that connects one to the other. That's the only one that actually has any tubes going down on that one. The other one, the one with the giant tube of crystal with the misty stuff inside, that's a single piece, other than the crystal itself that just kind of rotates a little bit. The other two are solid pieces as well. The one with the big purple disc that kind of blips every 30 seconds is one solid mechanism as well. The one with the crystal orb there, it's one solid piece as well. There's no tubes or anything coming off that. And then the last item is just the tube system, the communication system that connects to each different location. That's a solid piece by itself as well.
Okay. Do the misty tubes radiate any sort of heat or cold?
No.
I'm out of ideas.
So how are we rolling? Or is one person going to be rolling at advantage, or are all three of you rolling separately?
As well roll them separately. Sounds like it's going to be 3 dice either way, right?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, then all three of you roll for science.
Science! I rolled a 1.
Nice.
Noise.
Oof. Oh, I'm not doing well on these rolls.
Okay, so does investigation help with this or no?
No.
Okay.
Not on this one.
And then and nope.
So yeah. Okay.
I'm just tapping on the glass, trying to figure out if it's actual glass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna talk about Zolos and Dr. Bloom first. The two of you spend your day inventorying everything, and there's quite a bit of stuff. You estimate that you have enough food and water for a good 3 months, maybe even longer if you stretch things out. The booze, probably about the same, depends on how much you drink. But as you kind of go through it all, there's a good assortment of quite a few different alcohols, many of which you don't really recognize. You do find an assortment of weapons as well, small daggers, clubs, some oddly shaped instruments that you're not quite sure what they do, that sort of thing. You kind of put all that together in the workshop to be served as kind of an armory as well. As far as parts and like the ores and things like that, you can separate those things and have them in one specific area, but there's far too much to just take up into the workshop. But you are able to inventory it and place it in a way that you know exactly where it is in case you ever need anything. That sort of thing. Same for like the clothes and the other sundry supplies that you might need for a long voyage. That box that I mentioned, the chest, you do eventually get it open from a day of just laboring at it. I'm not going to make you make a roll for it, because just with time and effort, you can eventually get it open. You find coins. Coins of gold and silver, and a metal you're not quite familiar with. Has a kind of odd, oily sheen to it. It's kind of dark. It's metal, but it just looks odd. Dark, like a brownish kind of mottled color. But the way they're imprinted, you can tell they're definitely coins. There's a lot of different pictures on them. You see odd-looking creatures, some of which look vaguely familiar, like there's creatures on Loroupa that look like insects, and you see some things that look insectoid. You see some that look very alien and harsh. Upturned nose, long ovaloid faces, gigantic eyes 3 or 4 times bigger than your own, that sort of thing. So you can see alien-looking ones as well. You see some that look like odd-shaped, animals. Like some coins you find as you're going through them almost look like hippopotamuses. So it's a collection of money from quite a lot of different species based on what you're judging, and some of them are different thickness, and some of them are thin, some of them are thick, some of them are small, some of them are big. But most of the metals you can recognize, some of them you cannot. There's also gems in there as well. You recognize rubies, emeralds, sapphires, diamonds. It's a veritable treasure hoard. More money than either of you have ever really seen, even you, Zolos. This is a ton of coin.
We'll spend it all responsibly too.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, I think they set that aside, leave it for last after they did the inventory. I'm sure maybe they did an inventory of the the doc already checked the infirmary. So yeah, I mean they'll kind of have everything set away, and last thing you do is he'd take the chest up top and just kind of just plop it there in the room and be like, well, we're gonna die. At least we're gonna die rich.
You would also be able to restock the kitchen with fresh supplies and throw the rotten stuff over the side of the ship. Do you deal with the dead creature as well during that time?
Yeah, I mean he'd get rid of the small ones for certain. He's gonna need help with the big one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he'd start dealing with that. Seems like, I mean, if everybody else was throwing up at the guy in the freaking barracks, he's like, I'll just try to do as much of this myself.
Okay.
But yeah, he'll need help with the big thing.
Yeah, you definitely would need help getting the big thing up to the top of the deck, but the smaller ones you would be able to deal with as well. So you are starting to clean up the living quarters as well. Now, while that was going on for Dreezy, Skarn, and Lark, well, for Skarn and Lark, your day is spent extremely frustrating. You have no clue what the hell these things are. One of you kind of fiddle with the orb device, and as you're fiddling with it, you realize that moving that crystal, the little one that I described previously, it makes the orb kind of blip and move and kind of warble a little bit, and like pushing the buttons and that sort of thing makes it do things as well. Like you see blips kind of appear in the orb. It kind of reminds you of a crystal ball that a wizard might use for scrying or divination. Much bigger, obviously, but it doesn't react like a crystal ball would. So it's very frustrating. The tube filled with mist as well doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of there and rotates. It doesn't make any motions. The swirling of the mist is calming and kind of like it's almost like watching a dryer tumbling clothes. You just kind of zone as you stare at it, but it doesn't do anything. However, Dreezy, you have been investigating the center console towards the back, the one with the gigantic purple screen on it. That there's a little green dot in the center of it, and then it emits this circle outward that goes like this every so often. You're watching it and you're like kind of playing with the buttons a little bit, and the minor screens, the smaller 3 screens underneath it, as you play with the buttons, like different things pop up, text and script, and that alien language pops up as you fiddle with it, but you have no frame of reference. You're not sure what the hell it is that's actually saying. So no details are coming up from that other than the fact you know it works. However, as you're going along towards the end of the day, right before Zolos and Dr. Bloom come back up, something does happen. There's a ping, a blip at the far edge of the screen pops up when that expanding circle hits it. It pops up, and you look at it, and you're like, what the hell? The circle comes again. Ping. It's a light, a little light that's moving very slowly, but inching its way towards that center dot. And you're watching as this happens. But then we're going to say Skarn, who's been fiddling with that crystal, the orb, glances out the window. You see something that makes you cry out in surprise. In the distance, coming towards you, is something. The only reason you caught it out is it's a difference in a swirl of color that has been pretty consistent up until this point. It's a darkish speck. And then you're watching it as it begins to get closer and bigger and bigger. You call everyone's attention to it, and everyone turns to look as something is approaching you all at a very rapid pace. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. About the time, Zolos, you come up carrying that chest. You're like, your back's to it. You don't see it at first. You just, as you're stepping out onto the deck, you see the 3 of them standing there in the window staring, which is enough to give you and Dr. Bloom a chance to turn and look as well. And what you see is bizarre. Zolos, you are somebody who comes from the ocean, who's lived your life on boats and that sort of thing. So the first thing that comes to your mind is a whale. It looks kind of like a whale. It's big and round and tubular. It has a pointed nose towards the front, and you can see on the sides as it's getting closer, and you're seeing the the color backdrop behind it, you can see fins to the side. And it moves kind of similar, up and down like a snake almost, as it's getting closer and closer. And then Boomy, you look back at that center console, the one you've been staring at, and the dot is closer to the center dot. Putting 2 and 2 together, you're fairly certain that the device you're looking at detects the presence of things coming towards you within a certain radius. If you haven't guessed it by now, this is the ship's radar.
Mm-hmm.
Radar.
But there is something coming closer to you and closer to you. It is bizarre and it's huge. You're estimating it's close to the size of the ship, in fact. It's not on a collision course, but it is coming towards you. And you're guesstimating it, like it's hard to judge spatial distances here, but you're guessing you have maybe 20 minutes at most before it's going to be right up next to you. And I think that's an excellent place to end things for this evening.
No.
It's 10 o'clock. So, well done, everybody. You've learned a little bit about the ship. You're starting to understand how it all works. You are caught in some type of astral current, being propelled to parts unknown, and something's coming towards you. So next session should be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. Well, as always, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who watched this evening. We very much appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with us. Come back in 2 weeks to find out what our heroes are about to encounter out here in this vast space where anything is possible. Should be a lot of fun. Now, as always, I like to go around the table and have everyone tell us who they are and where we can find them on the internet. And Alyssa, since you're the one who did the recap, why don't you go first?
Hi. Alyssa, the only place really you can find me on the internet is on Instagram at Alyssa Crochets, where I crochet a bunch of nerdy shit like the Count Strahd right there that Matt is holding up. Oh, and Blood from a Stone that Joe is holding up. Yeah, I do stuff like that.
She does awesome stuff like that, so go buy one from her. Okay, Nobody, you're next.
Yeah. I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Nobody Adams. That's Adams with 2 Ds. And I do a fair amount of stuff all over the internet. These days I'm only on one show for All on the Table on the first Saturday of every month. That's the Artifacts of Romulus campaign, where we're looking for armor left behind by a god who doesn't really seem to be interested in finding it himself. I also do 2 weekly podcasts. Us Weirdos Have to Stick Together, which is about queer representation in cartoons. Right now we're talking about Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. And The Axe Files, which is a 9 chapters a week reread of every single Animorphs book in order. And finally, I just recently did a guest appearance over on the podcast Battle of the Blorbos, in which guests bring a character and convince everyone that they are the best at the thing that they do. So, for instance, one of the contests I was forced to bring my character, Dr. Doom, into was a pumpkin growing contest against the devil himself.
That sounds fun.
Sick.
Love it. Okay. Joe, you're next.
Well, I am Blood from Stone on Twitter and X, and was in a former campaign. But also on Wednesdays, in fact, this coming Wednesday, I am the adorable Corwin Oliver Goodwood in our Curse of Strahd campaign, The Sound of the Blood. We did just kill a bunch of vampires. We accidentally allowed the guy we went to talk to die, but we got some magic bones back. So that's good. You take the good with the bad. I suppose, there's that. But yeah, Blood for Stone on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Come make fun of conservatives. It'll be fun.
Okay, Nico, you're next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nico. I play your grumpy space owl dad, Dr. Ezra Bloom. You can find me on the internet at Static Blue Stripe, wherever you do internet things.
Heck yeah. Okay, Coins, you're up next.
Yo, I'm Coins. I play Dreezy F Boomy, and I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, at Devil Fetish.
Okay. Well, as always, I am Matthew R. Dawson, your friendly neighborhood host and game master here on the Random Rhapsody Network. You can always find me every Monday and Wednesday running games for these crazy folks. Up next is our Curse of Strahd campaign, Sonnet of Blood, which is going to be this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central. You can also find me over on All on the Table TTRPGs. I typically play there the second Saturday of every month. I do things here and there beyond that. You can find me occasionally on a lot of different channels. So if you want to find me and follow me, you can do so as at Scruffy Wanderer pretty much everywhere. And so, on behalf of everyone here in Æther-Shanties and everyone in the Random Rhapsody crew, I just want to say thank you, folks. It's been a delight. So long. Good luck. And until next time, may the winds of Æther fill your sails. And good night.
Good night.